Society 13 and Progzilla Radio proudly present Prog-Watch with your friend and host, Big Tony Rousick, a.k.a. Prog-Watch.
Welcome back to Prog-Watch. I am your host, Big Tony the Prog Squatch, and I haven't got much time to talk today because we have a lot of music and a lot of great interview material with none other than David Longdon, songwriter, vocalist, and multi-instrumentalist from Big Big Train. I'll tell you, I was so excited about doing this interview that I had a false start. I asked the first question and David started answering before I realized that I hadn't started recording. Well, he didn't make me feel like an arse at all. Thanks, David. And things got rolling along from there. So my esteemed guest this week is none other than David Longdon, lead vocalist, songwriter, and multi-instrumentalist for Big Big Train. David, it's a real pleasure having you on the show.
Great. Thank you, Tony.
I really appreciate it. So, as I said in my little preamble there, you are a multi-instrumentalist. You play various instruments, flute, banjo, things with strings, a little bit of keys, whatever. Are you one of these gifted people who just picked something up to have a go, or were you formally trained?
A little bit of both. I have an ear for music, so which enables me to pick up different instruments and work things out quite quickly. And I can normally get a tune out of something quite rapidly with those things. But when I was younger, I did have keyboard lessons and flute lessons, but the theoretical side of it all, and if you like the orchestral side of playing, was something that I struggled with because I was really crafty. I had a teacher, and she was a lovely lady, but I would get her to demonstrate the stuff to me, and so she'd sit and she'd play the piece, and I would play it by ear. As soon as she played it, I'd pick it up and play it, and so I was really shooting myself in the foot in the long term. But yeah, over the years I have, particularly with working on extended pieces like we do in Big Big Train, kind of lengthy song formats and formations. You do. I have to write things down. I use I write manuscript down so that when I'm performing live or if I'm working out parts, because it's just faster, and that's it. So yes and yes in answer to that question, Tony.
Okay, so you do have some formal training at least to be able to write out the music?
Yes, I do, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I never had a knack for that at all. I'm just, I play a little bit. I'm going to pick it up and kind of play a guy and just play enough of anything to be able to get what I hear in my head, like you were saying, across, But I could never write it, I know some theory, It's you need to know theory,
Yeah, you do. Yeah. You do. Ultimately, it saves time. I was working as a teacher at one point, teaching music technology, and notation was something that I taught. It was one of the modules, and I wanted to do it because I wanted to know more about it, and that was really useful, actually, explaining it to students and going through it, and it was great. It's something that I've been able to utilize, and something that I enjoy very much.
That's interesting. So I find myself thinking of you as the new vocalist of BBG, but you've been in the band for quite some time now.
Yeah, I joined in 2009. Yeah,
right. So you're going on 8 years, I guess.
We're getting there, aren't we?
Yeah, and well, yeah. Anyway, so how did you end up being in the band? And you want to fill us in on some of the things that you were doing before you joined? Yes.
Okay. Well, I've been working on and off in different bands for most of my life, and that kind of thing. Always kind of being either in the right place at the wrong time or the wrong place at the right to all those kinds of things. Because there's a lot of luck involved in lots of this.
Sure.
I become a father. And I just finished my first solo album, listening to a record called Wild River. My partner said to me, she said, in order to, we've got responsibilities now, she said. And she said, in order to make it work, really you can't be spending lots of money on making music. It has to pay the bills, and that's fine. And a colleague of mine said to me, when I gave him a copy of the album, he said, well, it's just zeros and ones in your attic, the digital. thing. He said, if you're not selling enough, you can't really warrant the expenditure. So I took this to heart, and I went, okay. So I found an online interview with a guy called Martin Orford, who was a keyboard player in a progressive rock band called, or near progressive rock band called IQ.
Right.
I liked what he said, and he seemed a very sort of very forthright character. So I decided that I'd call their record company, which is Giant Electric P. I got the answer machine and explained a little about myself. He picked up the phone, and he said, well, he was actually preparing to leave the music business, and he said he was doing one final solo album as a wave goodbye, if you like. Mm-hmm. He said the deal was, if I could sing these two songs that he got in mind for me better than he could, they'd go on his record. So I came down to Southampton, and it was at that session. He must have liked them, because the two songs went on his solo album. It's called The Old Road, and
I have it. Yeah,
it's a good album. Martin's a great writer.
Yeah.
Rob Aubrey was the engineer at that recording session, and that's how Rob met me. And that evening, when the session was over, he was on the phone to, unbeknown to me, to Andy and Greg, saying, well, I think I might have found you a singer. And that was the start of it, really. And that's how I got involved with them.
Okay. Some of our listeners may not know it, but you actually auditioned to be the singer for Genesis after Phil formally left the band. They ended up doing just the one album, Calling All Stations, with Ray Wilson. But would you care to fill us in a little on what it was like to audition for a spot in one of the greatest progressive rock bands of all time?
Well, I got the audition thanks to a friend of mine called Gary Bromham. And Gary Bromham was he was working on an album that he was recording at the Farm. The Farm's the Genesis' studio.
That's your studio, yeah.
And he was working with the engineer, Nick Davis. And Nick mentioned that Phil had left the band and they were going to start looking for singers. And Gary said, well, Gary had worked with me and we'd written songs. And he said, he said to Nick, I think I might have somebody that may fit the bill for you, that would be able to do it. Anyway, so Gary gave him the song. Nick liked it. He gave a copy of the song. The song was a song of mine called Hieroglyphics of Love. And it's been a very lucky song for me, that one, over the years. But anyway. Yeah, Tony heard it, liked it, waited for Mike Rutherford to come back from off of tour with Mike and the Mechanics, and Mike liked it. And the next thing was a phone call from Tony Smith inviting me to come down to the audition. And they told me the songs that they wanted me to sing, and I could pick something that I would like to sing. So I wanted to sing In the Cage from The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway.
Cool.
Where I thought that would be a good one to do. So that was it. I came down, I did the audition. They auditioned me. It seemed like a long time they were auditioning me, because they need, with regard to Ray Wilson, they got footage of him performing with Stiltskin, and they got albums with him on. I hadn't got any music readily available, and there were no videos of me in the charts or anything like that. So I was very, very inexperienced, I was experienced, but not at that level. And I was unknown, completely unknown. So they spent a lot of time with me doing that. And the next thing I had to do was my band at that time was called The Gift Horse, and they asked us to play a concert where they could see how I moved about on stage, and so it's things like that. It was an amazing time, and interesting looking back on it all. But it was an amazing thing to go through, and they were trying to get the best out of their situation. Because replacing Phil Collins is a mammoth task.
Right.
He's a hero, really, and he makes all that. He makes doing what he does look very, very easy, and it's not. There's a lot of craft goes into what he does.
Yeah.
And but anyway, that was it. At the end of the day, they thought about having two vocalists like Mike and the Mechanic, but I kind of rumbled that there was something not quite. I knew it wasn't cut and dried, because I've never met Ray Wilson and we've never been in touch about it or spoken about it. So it wasn't as if they were going to put us side by side. And I think they were thinking that at the end of the day it would come down to one vocalist, and for whatever reason, rightly or wrongly or whatever. I mean, it's a long time ago now, Tony. So
yeah,
I've done so much with Big Big Train. It just seems like it's just an interesting little aside,
little tidbit, yeah.
Life, and so that was it. That's what it was. I didn't get the job in the end. At the time, I was thinking, well, it just seemed obviously a little crestfallen about it. It's only natural, but to be honest, it seems such a crazy thing anyway. And that's it. They made the best choice that they thought they could make, and good luck to them. That was the way I took it, and that was it. And I think I know the album. I've got the album, and I saw them live when they played it, and I thought Ray didn't do a bad job with it at all. He did, all things considered.
I agree.
Really well with it, and come on, he's trying to fill Phil Collins' huge shoes.
Right.
On one album, and it was a tall order for him. And but I thought, he did his best with it. He did his best as much as he could with what he had, and great, good. But by that time, I was history.
Yeah. So, you have any impressions of Tony and Mike? I mean, as far as were they all business, or was it loose, or how did it go?
Well, they're very, very real people. Bear in mind that they're both extremely, both quite shy people, and the banter that they had between them, the conversations you could see that they'd been very old friends, and you could see that they'd also shared great success together. So there's a confidence, but there was a shyness, and they would mercilessly sort of take the mickey out of each other. They sort of joke with each other at each other's expense.
Okay.
Often. But they were fine. They treated me very, very well, and they were trying to look for a sensible way through. They weren't doing. They weren't hard-headed about it, and they'd not got their business hats on. But I guess in some ways they had, because they got to be sure that whoever got the job would be able to cope with the pressure at that level. And that was it. But they were. I have no qualms about the way I was treated. Actually, a lady was really good with me. It was Carol Willis. Who's one of their. She's an aide to Tony Smith, their manager, and Carol was fantastic with me.
Very cool. Yeah, that's. I don't know how many people know that, but that's one of the interesting, I guess, little eddies and currents in your career there. I wonder what that album would have sounded like, if you had got the spot. It's something to ponder a little bit.
Well, yeah, but like I say, Tony, it's 15 years ago.
Right.
I've got over it.
Yeah. I didn't mean to bring it up as a bad thing. I just thought it was interesting, and some of the listeners might enjoy hearing how that all went.
Well, what you said is the thing, isn't it? That it's it is that what if. That is what if, and there's enough of Big Big Train. There's enough of a spirit of kind of Genesis-ishness about Big Big Train to kind of fire as well. So I don't know. I don't know. It would have been Genesis is not Big Big Train. Big Big Train is not Genesis. They're both very different bands,
right? But very English, I think, in their own ways.
There is that similarity.
Yeah. I thought this would be a nice time to take a pause and hear some music. So here's Fat Billy Shouts Mine from one of David's earliest outings with BBT, the Far Skies Deep Time EP in 2010.
when the sky was full of sun. Jumpers to goalposts and sand for grass, a crowd of none. Billy crossed over too many lines, but not this far over. The girls are not the same here. 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 Billy spent all his time in the box where he drank too much. Billy liked being out on his own, but not the only one. Keeping goal always set him apart, but not this apart. The lanes are not so wide here. The lanes are not
Once again, that was Fat Billy Shout's Mine from the Far Skies Deep Time EP by Big Train in 2010. Now back to the interview. So, I mean, I wanted to talk a little bit about like your song topics. I think they're fantastic. I love the story in Winky, and just the whole telling the bees. You know, there's so many interesting things. And as you've become more of an integral part of the band's identity, I think the music has become even more like rustic and, quote, English, if that's at all possible. I mean, is this something that was a conscious effort, or is it just more or less, you know, you guys just following the muse wherever it leads?
Well, we do. Well, yeah, I guess in many cases. Well, Greg and I we write together and we write apart. But when we were looking for the title for Folklore and things like that, we really looked at the songs that were in the pipeline, the type of things that we were writing about. And I'm very interested in a lot of folkloric tradition, and I like the themes of folk music, but not necessarily folk music as such. You know, it's I like it. I like the subject matter, and I like the idea of like maybe reinterpreting it in a little bit of a different way. You know, I don't know. I'm not really writing to please anybody else, and I'm not writing to fulfill a brief. I'm writing to kind of get the music that I hear out. You know. So it's not contrived and it's not calculated. It's just what it is. Yeah, that one thing about Big Train is, you know, we are being ourselves. That's the point behind it, and I think that's where when artists and bands, when they are themselves, that's when the magic stuff happens. You know.
Sure. So, do you have an interest in history and things like that? Do you pull a lot of your subject matter from that, as in Winky?
Some of it, yeah. So Winky was a true story. It's a war story. But the thing that appealed to me was the fact it was about a war hero or a war heroine, but the heroine wasn't a human.
Wasn't a person, yeah.
It was a bird, and I just like the fact that that was there. But when you look back onto it, it's a fascinating story.
Yes, it is.
I mean, to be honest, the track itself is a bit crazy and it's a bit outlandish. But again, when I was writing it, I thought, well, I've got to write it in the way that I'm hearing it and the way it's unfolding. You know, once it was done, and that was it. And I'm on to the next sort of thing, really. So yeah, some of it contains history. Greg's very keen on history. We both have an enthusiasm for that kind of thing, but we also have an enthusiasm for unusual stories, things that catch our attention, or sometimes stories that can be quite normal stories, if you like, but suddenly we'll find an unusual angle or an interesting aspect of the story, maybe that isn't what you would expect.
Okay. Yeah, but I'll tell you what, you know, you could say what you want about Winky, but when I first heard it, it gave me like tingles. I mean, your voice is so, it's so emotional, and just listening to the story and how uplifting it was in the end, you know, I mean, just the way everything, you know, the music, your voice, everything, it just works together, it seems, on some of these tracks, and it just lifts it up to something different. I mean, I really get into that. It's fantastic.
Thanks for saying that, Tony. The thing with Winky was, the whole thing about it is I wanted the music to be almost like an action adventure piece of music. So it's definitely serving the story. It's telling factually what happens. You know, it's not. I'm not making it up. These events did happen, and that was good. The doing of it, and I wanted it to sound like almost like an Indiana Jones soundtrack. So it's, you know, the music is telling every little bit of the story and interpreting that, you know, from Winky's flight and then getting back home safely and the fatigue and all of that.
Yeah.
It's all there in the music.
Yeah, it's like a soundtrack almost.
Yeah. Exactly. That's what I want it to be, like a mini soundtrack. And of course, start looking into things like that, and that's all it was. It wasn't trying to be anything other than that. It was just to tell the story, and for the music to serve the episodes within the story, if you like. That was it.
Okay, so there's a lot more brass on this album. Is that a direction where you guys are headed?
Well, we enjoy working with the brass. And to be honest, Tony, I've not really thought about that. Yeah, well, we've got them, and it'd be good to use them. And if we play live as Big Big Train with a full band, we can't, playing without the brass. It wouldn't be right, really. It's a big part of our sound, or the Big Big Train sound definitely features those those types of things. So I guess in many ways we are. Well, I know Winky's got brass in it, and Folklore's got brass in it from my stuff, but obviously Telling the Bees hasn't. So I don't. Yeah, if we've got them, we might as well use them, and it adds more of a dynamic to it, and it adds a lot of colour.
Sure.
It normally makes. It's a massive sound as well when they start playing. I know when we play things like Victorian Brickwork and the brass kick in, it's very emotional. When people start hearing you, people start weeping.
Well, that's great. I mean, you're moving people. What more can you ask for as an artist to have that connection? Back to Mike Rutherford, I heard him talking about the Living Years, the song, and how many letters he had gotten over the years that said, listening to that song made me, patch up my relationship with my dad or my brother or, whatever it was. It made people realize that life is short and to, bury the hatchet sometimes and get beyond things because you never know, how long we're going to be here. And I just thought, man, what a feeling that would be to write a song and have people, writing to you to tell you how much it meant to them and that it changed their lives. I mean, I don't think you could ask for more.
Well, with the nature of modern kind of social media, fans of groups, bands, that they have a lot more direct access to the artists. And with Big Big Train, that's something that we obviously we like that. We like to be able to speak directly with our fans, and there are people that will write to us and say particular songs. They've had songs played at different times, like for example, births, marriages, and deaths, and you realise that you really are. There is a community of people that are interested in the band and meet regularly. We've got a Facebook forum,
right? It's very active and very large, and it's like a community. I'm in it, and yeah. I see all the posts. You have some rabid fans over there, man.
That's it, and it's a world. These people are. There are people who are born into that world and live in that world, and there are people who sadly passed away during it. So we are right. Our music is a soundtrack to people's lives. Just once you write something, Tony, it's out. That's it. It's once it's gone. It's out into the world at large. So people pick up on all kinds of stuff within these songs. That's an interesting thing as well. I was talking to somebody recently about songwriting, and a lot of songwriters tend to shy away from saying, "Oh, I don't like to tell people what the song's about. I don't like to discuss the meaning." Well, with Big Big Train, the meaning of the songs are very, very specific about what they are. But some people think, well, if you're that specific, then it means it can't possibly mean anything else to anybody else other than what we the writers are saying it is about. And that's not true, because people interpret these things for themselves. They're because that's what music and art does. It makes people think. It's very direct, and it is. And if we're lucky enough to be able to have written music that resonates with people at significant moments in their lives, that's great. That's an honor. That's an honor for us as songwriters and musicians.
Yeah, I get that feeling. The sound, you're part of the soundtrack of their lives. I love that when you said that, because that's kind of what I was getting at. That, you've touched them on another level. You're part of their lives, and it's got to be a good feeling.
Thankfully, I can't imagine a time. Imagine being, I don't know, in a big band, in one of the big prog bands in the 70s. Imagine going from gig to gig where they wouldn't really meet that many people. They'd see a lot of hotel rooms. Mm-hmm. No social media, so they'd be existing in a bubble, and they'd have no direct contact other than when they're on stage with fans, or if they're signing autographs at the stage back door.
Right.
That would have been it. And I can't imagine. I can't imagine not having that. You know, as a musician and a performer, that's the best bit. The fans are the best bit, in the sense that, you know, where you start meeting people and people start talking to you and they tell you about their lives, and you know, that bond is very special. And yeah, that's, you know, it's nothing to be frightened of.
It shows. I mean, it shows. I think that you, as a band, appreciate that and you know, foster that in your fans, and the fans, like I said, they're rabid. They love you guys, and you know, they're so active, and they're such a community. It's really cool.
Yeah, they're great. I agree.
Yeah.
Progzilla, bringing you the best progressive music has to offer.
Let's take another break here and do another tune. This one is East Coast Racer from the English Electric Part 2 album and the English Electric Full Power Collection.
This is love.
That was one of those historical, emotional Big Big Train tunes about a locomotive named Mallard, which set a speed record in 1938. East Coast Racer from English Electric Part 2 and the Full Power Collection. Now back to my conversation with David Longdon. So anyway, I guess moving along here, you guys took home the Best Live Event Award and the Band of the Year Award at this year's Progressive Music Awards. That's quite a feather in your collective cap, I guess.
It was amazing. What an amazing occasion. It really was a momentous moment for the band, and also for, not only for the band, but again for the fans, the people that vote for us, the people that like our music, that voted for us in those categories. And that's all down to them that we received those awards. For us, it was amazing because we beat off some pretty, our peers within the categories were kind of heavyweights in there as well. I won't mention names because it's not fair, but we were given a run for our money, I hope, and that's cool. But yeah, what an honour. I mean, it was incredible. It was incredible.
So, do you feel like you're on the verge of something even bigger? Is this do you feel the Big Big Train gaining momentum, chugging down the track faster and faster?
Well, there's all those sorts of metaphors. The thing is, I mean, I don't know. I mean, you could say, well, yes, we're going to go and do this, we're going to do that, but it depends how well these things are received. And I'm always reminded of the fantastic Bill Bruford and his quote when he said, the fan wants yesterday. The fans want yesterday. The musicians want tomorrow. And in some cases, that might be the case. So, I mean, we are going to kind of, we've got lots of musical ideas. I think with Big Big Train, I feel that there's still, and Greg and I, we still feel there's much more to do. We're only just scraping the surface of what we think the potential of the band is. Now, whether that will, we may never win another award again in our lives. We may have peaked a couple of Thursdays ago. When we got that could be the zenith. Well, you don't know. You just got to keep going. And I mean, as far as myself and Greg are concerned, we're on to the next album. We're doing that. We're working on that now as a band, and we're getting that done. So for us, it's kind of business as usual, and we're working on a concept album as well. We've been doing that for a little while, so we've got a lot of stuff in the pipeline, and we've got the live shows. We played live for the first time for a long time. Last summer at the King's Place,
right.
And those shows are incredible. So we're going to be doing that again next year, not at King's Place, but there's going to be there'll be an announcement of the details of those things shortly actually. So yeah, we've got. In answer to your question, Tony, is there more from Big Big Train? Well, yes. Well, we've got more to say. We've got more to do. We've got more music that we want made. Have we? Is there life in it? Yes, I think so. We all get on. It's a great band to be in. The people, the musicians, and the crew and the fans. They're all fantastic. They're really good folk, and we'll just keep pressing on. That's it. Musician really. All I'm really kind of concerned about. The only thing I can do is keep writing more music, and that's what I intend to do.
Yeah, it's part of you. That's.
Yeah.
I didn't realize what a part of me it was until I gave it up for a while when my kids were little, and I fell out of it and didn't really realize how much I missed it until I picked it up again. It's like, wow, there was like a little bit of a hole in my life that wasn't being filled anymore. And then when I started writing music again, it was just. It was a good thing. I think, when they quote studies, how, doing that kind of stuff, being creative is stress relief and all that. I'm 100% with that.
And so, but having said that, being a musician is a blessing and a curse. It's not an easy existence. It's not plain sailing,
Right. Yeah, I'll never have the success that you're having right now. I know that, but I keep doing it anyway. I've got a little group of guys who are willing to spend some time and effort, and it's amazing what you can do with a computer these days. If I was always into sound and stuff like that. So, hey,
love what you do and make the music that make the music that you really enjoy making.
Yeah,
you love what you do, and you're making it from that angle and putting that love and care and attention in it. Just be yourselves and make the music that you want to make, because hey, what else is there to do, really? What else?
Right. So the modern music scene, I think it's kind of, I mean, everything's obviously blown up and the old model just isn't there anymore, and all the money but in a way, the silver lining, I guess, is that you don't have record companies trying to tell you that your next album has to have son of whatever your last hit was, you don't have to deal with A&R guys and stuff like that. And I guess it's a little bit more creative, maybe, even if the money isn't there.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it. The money isn't what it was. I wonder. None of Big Train live. We've not got swimming pools and things like that. or it's that's okay. That's okay. And money can only. Obviously, it's nice to be comfortable, but I've worked all my life alongside as being a musician. I still go to work. So.
What do you do actually?
Well, I'm kind of in the hinterland in between. Doing a lot of music, because I only work part-time. I've gone down to working part-time. I used to be a teacher, and I stopped doing that because, well, amongst other things, that it was taking a lot of time, to do it. So the preparation and marking and things, it's a fully involved job. So I work in a local supermarket for 4 days a week.
Okay.
They're not long days. But it keeps the wolf from the door. It keeps me sane. It lets me meet people as well. I really enjoy speaking with people. I like the banter and all that kind of stuff. And it gives me a bit of money.
Yeah, my day job's in the home brewing and winemaking business. So yeah, we have a couple of stores here in Pittsburgh, PA. And
it could be fatal.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing. Yeah,
That's good. No, but again, I like speaking with people. I like meeting new people. So working in the shop lets me do that, and I like it because it kind of keeps your feet on the ground. I mean, there's nothing quite like going and winning a double award at the Progressive Rock Awards, then coming back and being back at work for 3 PM to do a double shift.
Yeah.
That's it though. That's how crazy it is.
The dichotomy of it.
But it's a leveler. It brings you back down to reality. That's it. That's what I'm looking at. That's reality. That's life. And it keeps the ego in check, which is a good thing. So.
Yeah, probably is. But you're older anyway. I think people tended to get in trouble when they hit it big when they were young and suddenly had all this money and had all these self-destructive tendencies.
Exactly. Yeah, and I'm kind of I'm 51, so hopefully I'm over the midlife crisis period as well. So.
I'm 51 as well. Just turned back in August. So.
68, a good year.
Yeah.
Sorry, 65, big one.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of cool things happened in 65. I did notice that.
Yeah,
you have to put some kind of positive spin on it, right?
yeah, exactly.
I wasn't too excited about turning 50.
Well, just the trick is, the trick to a long life, Tony, is just keep breathing.
Absolutely. Every day you wake up is a good one.
Yeah, it means if you're awake, it means you're here.
Yep. So was there anything else that you wanted to mention? Well, I kind of ran through everything that I had thought about talking about, so.
We're going to be making announcements shortly to do with the live concerts that will be in London next year, and there's that coming on. We're working on an album called Grimspound, which will be out next April, but we're furiously writing. Well, it's all written now. All the drums are done, and the instruments are just being recorded.
So did I hear that you had some stuff that was left over from Folklore that you were doing, and then you were also working on Grimspound at the same time? Is that kind of what's going on?
No, it's the idea was that we've got a few songs that we when we decided that Folklore will be a single album. We had a few songs that we've been working on, and then when we decided on the running order for Folklore, we stopped working on those songs and concentrated on getting those songs ready for Folklore. So we're finishing off things that were in the running. It's not because they're, they are lesser than
leftovers.
It's not
I don't want to give that impression.
It's not that at all. It's the fact that we chose the songs for Folklore that will work together as a strong album, as a collection of songs. So that was the reasoning for it. It's not because one was better than the other or anything like that. It's not about that. So we had a few of those songs to kind of complete, and we've been writing more bits and pieces as well to go on there. And it's Grimspound's going to be an album in its own right. It was going to be a companion, if you like, a companion album to Folklore. Well, initially it was going to be an EP called Skylon.
Okay, that's what I must have heard.
Then we've got so much stuff that we want, and we want to kind of finish it. We want to finish this period of the band's history off. So that's the kind of the last, if you like, the last episode in this. It's a series of albums I've been working on since I joined in for the Under 4 Yard, the English Electric albums, and Folklore. And Grimspound is the kind of the full stop of that cycle. So because we want to try other things, whether or not the fans want us to do those things we've got in mind remains to be seen. Otherwise, it may be. It's not as good as the Under 4 Yard. It's not as good as English Electric. It's not as good as Folklore. But hey, we've got to do what we've got to do, and we've got music, as I said before, that we want to hear and we want to make, and we've got lots of exciting ideas. So, I just hope we get the time and opportunity to do it.
This is Progzilla.
Let's take another pause here and listen to another great rustic kind of song from the latest Big Big Train album, Folklore. They just released a video for this, which is a song called Telling the Bees.
1, 2, 3, 4. My mother said, listen, son, your father's gone, now the time has come. You must tell the bees he gave his life. Drape black cloth over the hives. By until the day that Jenny caught my eye. I walked over and I asked her for a kiss. Sweet taste of honey on her lips. Telling the bees, telling the bees, telling the bees, telling the bees. And the bees were told on the day we wed, wildflower garlands draped our marriage bed. Now 2 years on, we have our son. The bees were told and we carried on. Telling the bees, telling the bees, telling the bees, telling the bees.
Every once in a while, a song can still give me a physical sensation, like a kind of a chill or tingle, and this one did it for me. The combination of the music and David's emotive delivery are just perfect in my opinion. Telling the Bees from the latest Big Big Train album, Folklore. Now let's finish up with the interview. Yeah, I was just wondering, when you were talking about, I mean, you guys have it's a large ensemble at this point. How do you decide, I know that like picking the running order of songs on my own albums, or it's always an interesting thing to try to, think about what songs hang together and what order they should be. How do you guys ever decide anything? I'm just trying to extrapolate from the bands I've been in, trying to make a decision or pick a name was always like it was an awful ordeal. How do you guys, I don't know. Yeah.
Well, we delegate. And as you said earlier on, a couple of questions ago, Tony, I'm of a certain age now. So at 51, I'm not going to put up much of a fight, if, whereas at 21, it would have been different. And anyway, and I can't imagine Greg and I being in the same band with each other at 21, because, but the idea is with Greg and I, we've, and with the rest of the band, we've all got our roles. We've all got things that we're very good at doing. And so we do those things. For example, you asked about the running order. By and large, Greg likes to fit the songs into a running order because he enjoys doing it. But he wouldn't have a problem if suddenly somebody said, "Actually, I want to do the running order. Can I have a go?" He'd be happy to let somebody else. It's not territorial. It's just the fact that we like to make the songs and present the songs within a cohesive collection, if you like. So it's got a bit. It's like a good book, like a good song, like a good meal. It's got a beginning, a middle, and an end, all in the right order, type of thing. So it's got a bit of a flow to it, and it's that type of thing. So no, on the whole, we delegate. That's how we get so much done. Certain people within the band are really good at very specific things, and we just play to those strengths. That enables us to get a lot done. And at the end of the day, when we're working on songs, one rule that we put in place was the songwriter of the piece gets the final say. So, for example, if there's a decision to be made, the songwriter always gets the kind of the songwriter of the piece will always get the final say, and that seemed to stand us in good stead. Yeah. So that's it, really. That's how we work. But like I say, it's like when we enjoy each other's company, we respect each other as people, and the success hasn't made us. Hopefully, I can't see any massive kind of egos surfacing. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm the one with the massive ego, and I just can't see it because it's me.
I doubt it. From our conversation.
Oh, I don't know.
Seem like a very down-to-earth kind of guy. And, you've been around the block now, and you alluded to that, and I guess that's probably why it's working so well, because, Greg, he's been in the business a long time, too, some of the other members of the band, so obviously you're more mature and, less, I don't know, I'll say piss and vinegar, as you were in your 20s, and, it's just you've seen how it all works, and you just, want to...
Yeah. Well, you're right. I mean, I want what's best for what we're doing, and the good thing about it is, if I felt really strongly about something, I know it would be given a fair hearing. It's not like it would be dismissed on principle or because that person always does that role or what have you. No, it's you're right. It's an age thing, and with that comes kind of understanding, and we all want the albums and the music to be the best that it can be. People have a very, very specific idea about how they want things to happen. For example, I can give you an example of that. The live version of East Coast Racer.
Great track.
Dan did an end arrangement for it, and it's amazing. But he had a very specific idea about the way the piece should end live, because when we did it on the album, it was very different. It kind of had a long kind of coda, but he arranged this particular piece to go on the end, and it's great, But at the time, I remember hearing it for the first time, thinking, well, I can't imagine how it's going to be the end of the gig. It's not going to work. But yeah, I was wrong, and I'm pleased that Danny did that, because it was a great thing to do. It was a great thing to do, and of course, like when we play it live, it's the end of the show, and the fans loved it, and that's how you got to be, So you have to kind of be patient with each other, and you have to kind of trust each other, because at the end of the day, I know Danny well enough, because he's an old friend of mine. I know Danny well enough to understand that whatever he does and whatever he says, and what any of us do and say, it's all we're trying to make it the best we can. And that's it. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
It's interesting. King Crimson at the moment, the latest lineup of King Crimson. Robert Fripp's having a whale of a time there. And because he's in a band, he says, for the first time, where he gets on with everybody in the band. And I do think when you're in a unit that is pulling in the right direction, and you've all got common goals, and you share them, and you're encouraging each other to reach those common goals, then I think that's when you can achieve kind of great things as well. That's a good thing.
Bigger than the sum of the parts kind of thing.
Well, it is, without doubt, it is, yeah. It is. Because the individual musicians within Big Big Train bring so much of their character, and we want that. We don't want them to be. I don't know, to not bring themselves, because we like them as people, and we get on as friends and colleagues, and that's what we want. It's fantastic. I'm very lucky. I'm a lucky boy, Tony.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. I think you are pretty lucky. I wouldn't mind it, You guys all are, but I think you're getting your well-deserved credit after all these years, and it's really good to see that. I don't know, over in England, you guys have a progressive music chart, and I saw people, bad-mouthing it, but hey, at least you have a chart. We don't have anything like that over here in the United States. It's a really niche thing, kind of, progressive rock over here.
Well, it's bit by bit, isn't it? Bit by bit. I mean, the music is becoming being taken with a little bit more. A little bit more. It's raising its game. Its profile's rising, which is a good thing. It takes time. It just takes time, and but it's incredible. You still kind of meet people who still got the old. Progressive rock. It's all this. It's all that. It's crap. It's people that were into the kind of the punk and things like that, and all that people were around at that time still have that hang up about progressive rock, or some of them do. But I don't know. I can't really worry about that, Tony. The only thing I can do. When my grandchildren turn to me and say, "Granddad, what did you do in the Prog Wars?" I say, well, I got my guitar out, and I sat on my keyboards, and I wrote I wrote the best songs that I could to hopefully elevate, to reach people primarily, and to get them out, to exorcise them out of my brain, but predominantly to hopefully elevate the genre as well. And that's it.
Fantastic. I think that wouldn't be a bad ending if you didn't really have anything else.
Okay. Well, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for speaking with me, Tony. It's been good fun. I enjoyed it.
Oh, it's been fantastic. I really appreciate you taking the time to speak to me.
Thanks for the opportunity. It's because the nice thing about it as well, this type of thing, is that it's not only the musicians and progressive rock musicians that are contributed to this genre. It's people like you, for example, people who write, people who talk, people who interview. You're not making thousands of dollars doing this.
No, I'm doing it for fun right now. And I get to talk to cool people like you.
And likewise, and I see myself in the same bracket. I get to talk tonight, be interviewed by cool people like you. So it's
promote the greatest music in the world, in my opinion. Yeah.
Well, exactly. Yeah. I mean, exactly. I agree. I think that's what it's for. That's definitely what it's for. And that's it. But the difference is now that people are doing it. All the money's gone out of the industry, and The people that are in it for the money have long since, years ago, went on to other greener pastures of income. But the people that love the music, that want to be involved in the music, either by from the making of it or the reporting about it, the chronicling of the music, then they're doing it simply because they love it. That's it. There's no other reason to be wanting to do it.
Yeah, right. All right, then I guess we'll sign off. Well, I hope you enjoyed listening to my conversation with David Longdon of Big Big Train. I didn't know what to expect since he seems to be a very serious individual when you see photographs of him. He was very down-to-earth, approachable, and I thoroughly enjoyed talking to him. I'm going to play one more from Big Big Train before we wrap up. This one is Victorian Brickwork, from the first album featuring David Longdon as vocalist, 2009's Underfall Yard.
Call up the boys, call them now. Time to bring them home. They will call if they want to. Fog hampered the search. Lost at sea, lost in the water. He told me many stories of the great ones. Lights might bring them home. Every day they put the boats out, but not this day. Fog hampered the search. Now great shark diamonds fill the sky and the deep. Lost in low light and ocean tides, the love you never meant to hide. Low light and ocean tides, the love you never meant to hide. and the ocean tides, the love we never meant to hide. No light and the ocean tides, the love we never meant to hide. Never meant to hide. He showed me many places, made me many things, carried me back home as if lost on the water. He told me many stories of the great ones. Oh, once might be. Every day they put the boats out, but not this day.
That was Victorian Brickwork, another of those historic/nostalgic songs that Big Big Train seems to excel at, allegedly about Greg Spotten's father, who sadly passed away shortly before this album was released. It comes from the album The Underfall Yard in 2009. Well, that's about all we have time for, but I wanted to mention that starting next week, I will be launching a new feature called Progressive Discoveries with Dr. Rob Fisher. He has a great taste in music and writes insightful reviews for the Progressive Aspect and Prog Radar. So come back next week for the launch of what I think will be a great new regular feature here on Prog-Watch. And in the meantime, prog on, brothers and sisters.